To think, isn't it, with Harry and Meghan, that they claim that they dislike the British monarchy, but at every turn they're looking for a way back, or at least Prince Harry is. A lot of sources tell me that whatever he says on camera with all of those chats with therapists and stuff like that, that truly is for money. You know, he's there to make money, sell his book, as one can imagine. He's being paid a hefty amount and he has to do his very best to try and sell that book. The paymasters want that, you know, that's the deal. I think it must be very difficult for him, though, and very confusing, because on the one hand, there he is confronted every single day with his former life, his brand new life, which may have felt sort of appealing when he first started, you know, feeding chickens and not conforming to a royal rota, must have appealed to him at some point. But then, of course, things change. You see big events like the forthcoming coronation of King Charles III and think, you know what, I wouldn't mind being a part of that. That would up the ante, particularly when you're trying to sell your brand. Now, according to a very good source, and as ever, you know, I have to tell you this is a very, very reliable source, Harry and Meghan like the idea of this. You won't believe it. Trust me. As ever, let me explain. Hi, good morning. Neil Sean here. Nice to see you. Thank you so much, as ever, for joining me today. And also, thank you for your time. Yes, I'm glad you agree with me on the woke bosses, the weak CEOs of the BBC that seemingly cannot curtail their out-of-control presenters. In another world, we'd be fired, wouldn't we, you know? But that's public money for you, you know? You get away with murder when it's not your money. Have you noticed that? Yes. Oh, absolutely. Back as ever, though, to your breaking royal story of the day. This really all centres upon the fact that I don't know if you've seen these headlines, but all the stars apparently are turning their backs to have the privilege of performing at the concert the day after the coronation on May the 7th at Windsor Castle. We've already pointed out some wonderful acts, including the brilliant Tony Christie, who would make a stellar lineup singing his classic hit Amarillo. That would get the crowd moving far more than Adele or Sam Smith, don't you agree? Dame Shirley Bassey, all of those things. How about tributes to greats like George Formby? Wouldn't it be wonderful if they focused on some of the great American stars that performed on the Royal Variety for so many years, came over here? The brilliant Liberace, Eartha Kitt, Pat Boone, people like that. They all made that sacrifice to appear in front of the British monarchy for free, for charity. I think these things should be recognised. But guess what? Harry and Meghan, according to a very good source, would have liked to have been thought of as the hosts. Trust me, as the hosts of that coronation concert out at Windsor Castle. I kid you not. The reason being is they believe that they would have brought some star glitter. Now, as we saw in that thing that they turned up at, I forgot what it's called now, but some charity event where they came on and said a few words to an underwhelmed crowd, then, of course, they feel that the world stage is definitely the world stage for them. But according to that good source, and as ever, we have to say allegedly, Harry and Meghan felt their names attached may have provided some of the bigger names who so far seem reluctant to come and perform. Perhaps their good friend Beyonce. Remember, she called in on the docuseries. Remember that? Yes. And of course, other big names, allegedly, that they know so well. Maybe George and Amal Clooney could come on and introduce an act. Who knows? But trust me, this story is absolutely 100% genuine. Harry and Meghan felt that this could have been their valued contribution to a concert. It maybe fitted their sort of background a little bit more than the regalities and the sort of, shall we say, a pomp and circumstance that royal events are used to. And by turning up there at the crowd on such a big coronation event, well, they felt, according to that source, that they could have had a little bit more, shall we say, glitter cachet. Wouldn't it have been fascinating, though, to see Harry and Meghan being invited and perhaps the host, looking out onto the Prince and Princess of Wales, Camilla, the King, and the rest of the royal crowd? I wondered how long they could keep up that pretense of being excited. I'm jesting, of course. I'm not quite sure exactly whether this will ever see fruition, but whichever way you look at it, it just proves, doesn't it, how deluded and how far the ex-royals have fallen if they just now want to be concert hosts. It's a developing story, and as ever, when I know more, you'll know more. Neil Sean in the very heart of the United Kingdom.